Welcome to another episode of Go For It. Listen, as you can tell, I'm out the studio and I'm on location. And today we're about to meet a unique individual that's all about making a difference. Will Davis, the founder and CEO of Level Up Young Man, an organization that's all about making a difference and mentorship in young men's lives. So we're going to hear his story and also find out what all this is all about. So Will, what made you decide to go for it?
What made me decide to go for it? It actually started in a different way. Before I retired from corporate America, I had this vision as a Marine veteran to do more for veterans. And the more I thought about that and what that looked like upon retirement, I was active with the Marine Corps League, Attachment 1260 here in Albany. Also, Post 30, volunteered with them, and also a member of Post 512. So it was really going down that veteran space. And then, because I was working rotating shifts, on my off days, my grandson would spend the night with me. Or I would get up on my off days early, when he got up early, go pick him up, and then we would go to IHOP, Huddle House, or someplace like that to have breakfast. I just started getting a lot of feedback from other males in the community, my church family, saying that, wow, you do so much, with your grandson. That's really great. We really need a lot more men to do that. So my vision of working with veterans during my exit from corporate America actually turned into me wanting to engage our younger youth. And so the birth of Level Up Young Man came along, and appreciate everybody who's poured into that vision for me over the time, with family, friends, a few co-workers, but a large part with the community here in Dougherty County, whether it be clergy, other nonprofits, or just people that want to see our community do better when we look at the issue with our young males. And specifically, it's not about color, but when we look at the issues that we have in our communities, it's dealing mostly with black and brown males.
Yes.
And so I would say that is our focus. We don't exclude anybody. We would work with any youth that we have. And so we started out with the mentoring piece, and as we got more and more involved in the community, I happened to be in an environment talking to an individual which had an organization that does community outreach. And so once I connected with that organization, that foundation blessed us with the opportunity to receive what you see in the background, all of this returns, overstock, or chef pools from local and out of town big boxes. And what I would tell you is that the majority, I would say over 90% of it, is mostly brand new. That other 10%, I would say 70% of the chef pools, and then that other 3%, I mean, it can use some reconstruction. But
10 to 11 care.
10 to 11 care. But overall, it's really been a pleasure to work with the foundation. It's been a pleasure to engage the community. Coming out of that, the organization got started in May of 2020, coming out of the pandemic. I retired in January of 2019. So moving forward, a year and some months, Level Up Young Man was birthed. Had the pandemic, came out of the pandemic, and then just riding around the city of Albany and Dougherty County at large. Now that I'm retired, you really begin to see more of what you saw and didn't see, which is our unhoused. And so I was like, wow, to see that and to see or try to understand what they go through every day.
Right.
From whether it's too hot, too cold, riding through our city, to seeing where they sleep, whether it's abandoned building.
You know, speaking of sleep, you know, because you know we're right downtown,
Right.
in the Harlem district, and every time I come outside, you know, across where the the Ritz Culture
Right.
is, you know, they're there.
Exactly.
Whether it's hot, whether it's cold, and of course, you know, in the past we've worked together
Absolutely.
to feed them, and along with Life Church,
Right.
and I man, and give him a shout out right now before we go in front of and George, who be doing that tremendous cooking, and you know, it opened my eyes up,
Right.
you know, so much, because you know I was looking at being someplace else,
Right.
you know, as far as my business,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, I think it's a good deal that I am down there,
Right.
because I get to see, and
Absolutely.
it's a constant reminder of how we should and how we could
Right.
and should do more.
And that should and could do more. I believe that our community, Doherty County, the city of Albany, we have everything we need. We have to figure out how to leverage our assets.
Yeah.
And our assets are the different individuals in the different organizations. We have a lot of people that's in this space to help.
Right.
We can do a better job, or there's a great opportunity for coordinating that effort. There's some that says that there's a lot of duplication of services. I believe that duplication of services can be a benefit. Just maybe not stack them all on the same day,
Right.
because I don't think there's just any one organization that can do it all. Whether you're doing food or clothing or shelter or whatever. And when we speak of shelter, we don't have enough beds for our unhoused. And so, as you spoke that we worked together in the past, in November of 23,
Right.
you know, they was talking about opening the transportation center as a warming center. I thought that, I didn't think that was a great idea. I will tell you that from
Why?
being, well, it was supposed to be a transportation center for people riding the bus, not temporary housing or temporary accommodations.
Okay.
And when I look at the funding that was allocated, that's what the funding was allocated for, a transportation center, not a warming center.
Right.
Now, I would tell you that whether it's hindsight or foresight, we've used it since then as a warming center in the winter and as a cooling center in the summer. I will applaud the city leadership for doing something, because it would be damn if they didn't,
Damn if they do.
damn if they don't. So damn if they didn't, damn if they do. So that happy medium was to do something until
Right.
we figure out what we can do long term. But that partnership that we've had, and Mr. George Airstop, who also brought on his men's ministry and his church group, Life Church, they've been very helpful to us. George Airstops. George's story is, George was a professional smoker. He's real clear that he was not a professional griller. He was a professional smoker.
Right. Right.
George had a fork in life that he wound up being incarcerated. And George's story in short is that George said that he prayed to the Lord that if the Lord saw him through this, he would do the Lord's will. And since then, George has been a man of his word. He's heavily engaged in his church, in his men's ministry, and we had a mutual friend that told him about what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And George and the friend reached out to me, and George, on at least 3 occasions, volunteered his professional culinary skills. He lived out of town in a neighboring county. He lived out of town. George would actually pull his grill here. He would bring all the meat, and he would cook all the sides, and he assisted us in serving the unhoused here in Albany.
One more time. George did that out of his
George
pocket.
did that out of his pocket. George, what you need? I don't need you to nothing. Just get the people there.
Mhm.
And I think the most memorable opportunity was last Easter, the Saturday before Easter. George got with me and he wanted to do something. So George said that he would smoke 3 huge hams, bring all the sides. Only thing I need to do was find the location. And so we did that. We worked with the individuals with the Salvation Army. They allowed us to use their parking lot. People was lined up early. We did some basic triage by, just trying to have conversation with them. And those that wanted clothing, we had clothing for them. And then they hung out until, we got to that point where it was time to serve. Everybody got served. Everybody had a great time. And I think for me, that was the most memorable one. But the one that we had the most fun was when he set up downtown on Highland outside the historic Chapman building, and he grilled all those leg quarters. And
Right.
we saw how his culinary skills kicked in, and where the only time that he touched the meat was to see was it done. But when I tell you, he never turned that meat over, and it was, as they say, it was something to die for.
Right,
It was great. It was great. So we transitioned from that to being engaged in the community and saying, hey, how can we be more engaged? One of the opportunities that we found with Level Up Young Man with our donation center and with the organization that we deal from the foundation standpoint was, hey, we have a lot of items that are donated and everything is in great shape. How do we best utilize this? How do we best support our communities? So we reached out to organizations and nonprofits. My grandsons at Doherty, so their Beta Club, their FBLA club has come out. My daughter, Shanice Davis, her friends, they've come to help. Have friends. There's Shanae Motley, who's no longer here with United Way. United Way has come out on 2 occasions to help us during Day of Caring. Former CEO of the YMCA, I call him Colonel, but Dan Gillum, who's now retired, their organization has come during Day of Caring to help us sort through these items so we can give back to our community. Chief Pursley has, with the Albany Police Department, has come over, and some of his staff has come over. Captain Whitlock from the Doherty County Police Department, they've come, and we've donated some items to them. We also donated some other items to individuals. We donated 3 bicycles this past Christmas to the homeless. So what I'm saying is that we want to be intentional on how we help, because with what we have, I'm confident that if we just open the doors and say, come and get it, it'll be gone. We really want to meet people where they are. And a pastor friend of mine out of Terra County, where I'm from, shared something with me one time, and he said that you're going to have to go through a lot of greedy to get to the needy. So we try to be intentional of reaching those who really need it.
right.
We're not going to deny anybody. We've had people call us concerning they've had families that get burned out or moving, homeless, and now they need things. We're here to help in any way we can. My philosophy has been sweat equity equals community engagement. I have only asked that, hey, if you show up and you can donate at least 4 hours of your time to help us sort through the items that we have a lot of items here.
Yeah.
With the bulk of them being closed, they come in these big watermelon boxes for those that have gone to the farmers market in Cordele or somewhere. These watermelon boxes come up about waist high, a little higher, and they are huge. And so there are several thousand pieces and several, 100 pounds of clothing that are in those boxes. And we're just asking if we can get individuals or groups. Mind you, It is overwhelming for any one person that walks through these doors, and they'll normally turn around. So we say, hey, if you can find 4 friends or 4 like-minded people to come here,
Right.
we'd appreciate that, and give us 4 hours. By doing that, if you have an organization, or if you have a personal need, or if you just want to do something for people that you know in your community, we'll be more than happy to help you get what you need to be able to do what you desire.
As we've been having this conversation, you've been seeing B-roll of how big this place is, how much stuff we have. So I say we, 'cause I'm here, but how much stuff he has, because it ain't mine. It ain't like I went out there and got it. But you know how it works. Anyway, that's why I love my show. It's my show. I can make a mistake and keep on going. I'm not going to even cut it out, because that's what I do. Listen, it was wonderful being here. And also, listen, it's going to be hot. You see that man sweating? It's going to be hot.
That's why we started early. Come early. Come early.
Early.
Early. We'll be here at 7. So you need to be at 6:30.
Appreciate you.
I said, thank you.
And I'm going to tell you something. As we both look at this camera, tell you something. This man put in a lot of work in the community. And I want y'all to do whatever you can to continue to support him and all the other nonprofits. And if it's someone that's just doing it out their pocket, support them, because they're trying to make a difference. And guess what? They decided to go for it.